I don't know if you guys have been watching the behind the scenes footage of the NFL draft, but Joe Douglas had an opportunity to trade with the Atlanta Falcons, and it involved a 2025 first round pick. I want to talk about that trade and what players could have been selected. I absolutely love the NFL draft, especially like just after the NFL draft when you start to get all these little drips and drabs of information coming out of the behind the scenes in the war room with Joe Douglas and things that could have happened that didn't happen, but players they were looking at that didn't happen and like did happen. It's always so much fun. There was a lot of speculation about the New York Jets trying to get up inside the top 10 to select a wide receiver. There were reports that we talked to the Giants and to the Falcons. The Giants at 6 wound up taking Malik Neighbors. The Falcons at 8 ended up going with Michael Penix Jr. They didn't want to trade out. The Bears ultimately took Rome Odunze. It seemed like the Jets were going up for Rome at number 8. But what could possibly have happened? Apparently, Joe Douglas was talking with the Atlanta Falcons, and this is the conversation that they had.
They want to come back to 10, so they want you.
Tennessee has submitted its pick. Atlanta is now on the clock.
So talking about that, I don't know if you guys caught it. Atlanta tried to come up to number 10. So they were going to pick at number 8 and basically pull a Texans and come all the way back up into the first round and get the number 10 pick from the New York Jets, or at least trying to. The New York Jets wanted to make their pick. They had a blue chip prospect on their board that they wanted to do. They ultimately ended up moving one pick down and got Olu Fashanu. But it begs the question, what were the Atlanta Falcons offering based on what the Jets pick currently was? And I have some ideas of what I think it was, and I think it included a 2025 first round pick, and it kind of got glossed over a little bit, but I want to talk about what this trade could have meant for the New York Jets should Joe Douglas had, or if he had accepted it. Now, I would not have, because I think, like Joe Douglas, I wanted that blue chip prospect. I wanted like the sure thing as best we can. We had so many draft picks already. Going as far back as we'd kind of need to was something that I didn't really love, but it's interesting nonetheless. So according to the trade chart, the Jets' number 10 pick is worth $1,300. If you had the Falcons' 35 pick, 74 pick, and the 2025 first round pick, which is valued like the first pick in the second round, I equated that to about 600 points. It's slightly less than that, but that's all right. 1,370 points. You're coming up for a quarterback, you're going to have to pay a little bit of a premium. That's what the Jets, I think, would have been offered should Joe Douglas had entertained, if he had entertained that offer. Or maybe he did talk about it, because obviously someone calls you and say, hey, we want to trade up to number 10. You're going to say, what are you offering? This math seems to work out. And it's interesting because what kind of players could you have selected if the Jets ultimately traded down from number 10 all the way back into the second round? There's some interesting things that could have happened. They wound up being pick number 35. You could have gone with Jackson Powers Johnson, the center guard out of Oregon. That was probably the best offensive lineman available on the board. Patrick Paul was available. Could you have gone that route? I mean, maybe. It depends how much you really like him. I think once you got out of the first round with like the Tyler Guyton and like Denzel or Amarius Mims type caliber players, I think I start to trail a little bit off offensive tackle after those particular guys. So Jackson Powers Johnson, I'd be pretty happy with. Jalen Polk also went one pick later to the New England Patriots, so you could go that route. Now, the Jets obviously traded up for number 65, but they didn't give up pick number, or they gave up pick number 72 in that move. So at 65, we still take Malachi Corley, the wide receiver. And then at 74, which is the other pick that the Falcons gave. So obviously we traded 72 and one of our later round picks to go up to get Malachi Corley, but we still had pick number 74. You could have gone with 𝐂𝐟𝐼𝐥𝐢𝐸. I think I pronounced that right. He had a top 30 visit with the New York Jets as well. Offensive tackle. Would have been really interesting to see if you could have gotten that. Plus, you would have had the 2025 first round pick. So when I like sit back and like hindsight everything, I'm like, you know what? This would have been pretty cool. I wouldn't have been upset with a haul like this. But I'll be honest, I don't think in my mind I would have believed that Jackson Powers Johnson would have made it to number 35. I think it would have been maybe possible. But either way, I think you're probably playing with a little bit of fire if you do this, especially Joe Douglas trying to get a 2025 first-round pick. If he doesn't win this year, he's not going to be able to use that 2025 first-round pick. So there's definitely like reasons why the New York Jets would not have done this. But I think this is what the package ultimately would have looked like. The second-round pick, the third-round pick, plus a 2025 first round pick, man, that would have been really tempting for the New York Jets to take. Guys, I want to hear from you down below in the comment section. Is that a trade you would have taken? Did you want to make that move down if that trade were presented to you? Or do you like the Olu Malachi picks and you're just happy with everything as it played out? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.
Jets, 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 Jets.